President-elect Dr. William Ruto is sworn in. It has been a buzz of activity on the social media. On the news diary, we'll also be having a look at what's trending, and also the business diary. Remember, the fuel prices review is expected on the 14th of this month, and Kevin Nyakundi will be joining us to tell us how the new administration led by Dr. William Ruto will be especially addressing the issue of the cost of living. Let's begin on that note from Kevin Nyakundi. It's been a great, let's say, a week for Kenyans, especially after Dr. William Ruto, the president-elect, Kevin, said that they are expecting to bring down the fuel prices. Maybe what do we expect, even as they have that plan to bring down the fuel prices? What again are we looking at? What are some of the reviews and views from Kenyans and expectations as far as the economy is concerned? Kevin, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Purity. A very great morning to see you. It's Monday, and of course, we are just remaining with 2 days, today and tomorrow, and then we'll have the fuel prices review on the 14th of this month. And now, motorists may buy a liter of petrol at a high. Now, this is due to the third review of the International Monetary Fund. If you remember, the $2.3 billion loan, Kenya committed to end fuel subsidy before October. So we are just remaining with a couple of days into October. So therefore, the fuel subsidy, they had committed and said they are going to be ending that in order for them to be given the loan by IMF. So therefore, IMF gave the loan and said, all right, these are the requirements. This loan needs not to be put into the subsidy. But the government went ahead and put some funds from there into the fuel subsidy. Therefore, the fuel subsidy might be just scrapped off. And if that is scrapped off, we are looking at Kenyans paying more than 200 shillings when it comes to the petrol, diesel and kerosene. And last month, just to remind Kenyans, last month when the subsidy was there, petrol was at 159.12. Kerosene is still in the in that range, 127.9, and diesel 140 shillings. Now, if we had not had the subsidy, the petrol would have been at 206, kerosene at 202, and so forth. Therefore, with this subsidy, we saw the prices go down to 159, as I have said earlier. So therefore, Kenya introduced this cushion. Remember, Kenya also introduced this, the government introduced this to cushion Kenyans, and also they had committed to be adding 2 billion shillings every month into this. So therefore, we would just like to see how the new government that is coming in would like to take on this issue, which has been, Kenyans are really looking forward to this, because now Dr. William Ruto will be sworn in tomorrow, and his first task now will be putting in maybe the funds and saying, all right, now we are going to continue with the subsidy or not. So just like to see what this pans out, and over the rest of today, we'll be speaking to Kenyans and just getting their feel of what they expect when the fuel prices are reviewed. Purity. And
Kevin, the President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration did confess that the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war was part of the reason that the country was where it was, and not just Kenya, but most global countries. Maybe again, the president-elect saying that we expect the fuel prices and the prices of food and other commodities to come down. What will it take for this to be achieved? Was this just politics, or again, as in the business perspective, remember, it's a global affair? How soon? Because Kenyans will be again asking, should Kenyans have hope that yes, the incoming administration may lower the prices down, or what will it take, Kevin?
All right, so Purity, regarding the question, remember also this is compounding the situation, and which might see oil companies say no to any further subsidy, because the government has been covering this, and the oil companies have had high debt which has been owed to them by the government. Therefore, I don't really think there will be really a bone of contention between the two, but we will just wait and see from what will happen on the 14th. But the oil companies say the government owes them very huge debt, and therefore that is why they've been giving this subsidy. So therefore, moving forward, we'd just like to see what will happen on the 14th. So we'll just on the 14th, I think we'll have a lot of reactions from Kenyans to just wait and see what will happen on that day. Purity.
Absolutely. And Kevin, before I let you go, remember the government tried compelling the oil companies to bring the oil prices down, but the problem was not that they were not willing, but it was the issue of not getting the money that they owed the government. So if again this is not paid, was it an issue of goodwill from the companies, or what will it take for the Ruto administration to compel them? Because again, they say we cannot do this unless we get money from the government, and 14th is just 2 days away. Probably have there been talks, negotiations with the oil companies to just maybe ensure that the oil prices come down as they continue negotiating and talking about how they will be paid their dues?
All right, so last week, regarding that issue, last week the oil companies and the distributors of oil had some sessions with the stakeholders in the market, and they were talking about, now the Kenya pipeline companies were talking about them increasing the prices of fuel that is being transported per cubic meters. And we saw now the Kenya pipeline company says this amount needs to be added. They want it to be added by around 2 shillings. And now from the previous one that they've been paying, the distributors have been paying and making sure that this fuel gets to where it's supposed to go, it has been 5 shillings. So therefore they wanted it to be added to around 7 shillings. So these talks have been continuing. It's not the end. So I think from the talks that have been ongoing, we'll see maybe the president coming out and saying, all right, so this is what we as a government are going to be doing in order for us to cushion Kenyans. Purity.
And let's lastly talk about the tourism sector, because the last 2 years it's been hardly affected by the COVID-19. And what are the earnings like right now? Are we seeing a revive of the sector, especially now that the numbers of the pandemic, the infections rate is going down in the country and let's say globally?
Yes, all right. So when we go to the tourism sector, you are seeing me smiling because it's been having a very huge profit, because the tourism earnings rose to 167 billion shillings from 83 billion in the previous period within the same time frame. Now, the earnings are a reflection of a 91% growth in the number of international arrivals. Now, in the country, in the period that stood at 924,812, as compared to the previous period where we had 483,246 recorded in the same period in 2021. Therefore, we've been having more arrivals, international arrivals from tourists coming into the country, therefore adding into the rise that has been there. And now, out of the 294,812 international arrivals, 313,000 were on holiday, 247,000 visiting family or friends, and 258 for business and meetings, incentives and exhibitions. So therefore, I think this is a good thing for the tourism sector in the country, because it's therefore adding into the exchange that we've been having with other countries. And as we are getting now into the season of summer bunnies coming back into the country, I hope this is going now to increase even more.
Kevin Nyakundi, thank you so much for that update. Of course, for more business update, a business cafe will be coming your way at around 9:30 this morning. Again, it's been a buzz of activity on the social media. It's been a busy week for Kenyans, especially after the president-elect William Ruto was officially declared winner, or his election was upheld by the Supreme Court on the 5th, and therefore the preparations towards his inauguration have been ongoing, and we have been seeing different things and activities trending on social media, and it's also been a week when the world has been mourning the Queen Elizabeth, who passed on. So let's now join with my colleague Caroline Obuya with the latest from the social media. Caroline, I know a lot is happening. You are better placed to tell us what's going on the Kenyan trend.
Good morning, Purity. As you have rightly put it, there's a lot of talk going on, of course, surrounding the inauguration tomorrow of the incoming head of state. And this has actually brought us media into the fore. We have our sister media stations, Citizen, KBC, DSTV, they're all trending ahead of tomorrow's inauguration. This started actually when KBC issued an alert that they will be airing the president-elect's inauguration tomorrow. So they said they look forward to you know, they have the rights to host the event tomorrow. And if going by the recent activities of the President-elect William Ruto, he has been warming up to the national broadcaster, of course, KBC. And so it's no surprise that KBC put out this alert, and of course it brought in Citizen. And just during the election, so there was a lot of talk that media stations had taken sides in the manner in which they were covering the different parties in the elections, Kenya Kwanza, Azimio, and the other smaller parties. And so this has come now again into play. So what is happening is that Citizen was on the receiving end, you know, as the incoming head of state warms up to KBC. And so there was the whole issue of this is something that the Media Council of Kenya addressed actually before we even went to the actual elections. So Kenyans have been talking and saying that those who are supporting the KBC feel that this is our national broadcaster. The move that the head of state is taking in, you know, reviving it, it's been a sleeping giant. It's taking the right steps in, you know, reviving it. In any case, this is a media station that is paid by taxpayers' money, so his move is not a surprise, it's the right move. However, there are those who feel that no, you know, we all subscribe to different media houses, and the head of state actually can support KBC without necessarily demonizing other media stations. So basically that's the talk that is going on as regards to this whole media and the incoming inauguration of the president-elect tomorrow, Purity.
Oh, absolutely. And apart from that, Caroline, we've also seen mixed reactions or opinions from Kenyans as far as the Queen's death is concerned. What was that all about?
The Queen died. It was all over the splashes in the whole world, from Africa to the Asia to the Middle East to Europe to the Great America and Britain. So what is coming into the fore is that while the Queen is being held in other nations as being an angel, in other nations, talk of the Middle East, talk of Africa, talk of you know, Asia, some parts of the Caribbean, some people feel like the accolades are, you know, overrated. They feel that the Queen is not the angel that is being talked about. They feel like he's a symbol of genocide, is a symbol of colonization and other atrocities that were performed in these other countries. And so they feel like in Kenya, for example, the issue of the Mau Mau came up during the colonial period, whereby a lot of people suffered. This is the pain, if I can actually explain it literally. You know, I can talk of the Mau Mau fighters when they were, you know, trying to protect their land from the British colonial government. They were subjected to camps whereby they were tortured. Some were tortured to death. This is how some of it happened. A special pliers was taken, and it used to crush men's testicles. Once it crushed men's testicles, they were chopped off. That is just a bit of the pain, if you can feel. So there are those who actually feel that the Queen, in as much as is held in some countries, that he's an angel, he is not that angel to other countries. Remember, she became queen while she was in Kenya, in Nyeri, in 1952. And so that part of it, that part of the history still remains in Kenya, and that is what is being talked about. But the other dark side of the history also is still there, and it's being talked about. So they feel that the Queen took too long. She had 70 years in the reign. This time she should have apologized for the atrocities that were committed in these countries that feel aggrieved. And so people feel like if they're going to talk about the Queen's legacy, then they should talk about it wholeheartedly, and they should bring to the fore the whole of it and not just the positive side of the Queen. Purity.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, a lot still happening on the social media. It's a day before the swearing in of President-elect Dr. William Ruto. And therefore, as we see the reign of President Uhuru Kenyatta coming to an end, then there are a lot of conversations, especially on the legacy. But staying with the Queen's death, all the Premier League matches for this weekend have been postponed. This is just a sign of respect following her death. And now to get more on this and others on the Sports Diary, we are joined by my colleague Jeff Mogire. Jeff, good morning to you. Maybe just bring us to speed on what's going on the sports arena, especially the fact that it's going to be quote-unquote a boring weekend for you guys.
Well, thank you, Purity, and good morning to you. It's going to be a boring weekend. Next weekend is going to be boring as well, because this one was boring without the English Premier League. People in Kenya are usually used to watching the Premier League, but it was not there over the weekend. And because the Queen died, and in respect to the Queen, we have to give her that time, people to mourn the whole of this week and even up to the next weekend, and then the Premier League will begin the other one. But there are players, there was a split, by the way, mixed reaction from players and managers and stakeholders in terms of sport. They're talking about giving the Queen the best send-off was to host the games, give a minute of silence, stand up and show honor to that Queen and get the fans to cheer the games. That will be the best. But others were saying the best way is to stop everything, because in the UK right now, as I talk to you, there are no billboards, there are no ads on TV, and everything has stopped because of the Queen. And the UK is now losing up to £1.4 billion throughout this period because of everything is stopping or is not working at the moment. So we wait to see how it works, but Kenyans have now switched shifted their focus to La Liga, Serie A. We know yesterday Real Madrid won 4-1 against Mallorca, and people watching on how things are unfolding on the other side. People are now talking about the Serie A, La Liga and other games, but also back here in the country there were school games going on, and the school games are now on the penultimate stage where the finals are being held today. We have teams from a school like Ebuali from the Western region will face off with Highway from Nairobi in the men's final. Kwanzanze Volleyball, that's a school which has produced the best volleyball players in this country for a long time, and they're the defending champions, will be facing again off with a team by the name Kesagon. That's a girls' school from the Rift Valley region. And also in basketball, Olympic will be out seeking to find favor to win this basketball title for the very first time. We'll see how that goes out, because you have not been told who they're facing. There was an issue about the finals, so we're waiting to see how it works. Cheptil will be out against Namwena, that's boys volleyball, and they'll be out against Namwena High School. So it's all about the country and what's happening here, but also in football. You know, the sport in the country has not been doing so well for the longest time. Now the president-elect, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is coming in, will be sworn in tomorrow as the president officially, and we'll see how changes take, because people are talking about who is going to take the sports docket, the minister of sport, who is going to be the CS, to see how things fall for the country. But football, we were suspended by FIFA. The former president, Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa, has bounced back. He says he's going to take his position as well. So we wait to see if FIFA will lift the ban after the president has made a call to FIFA to talk with Gianni Infantino and see if they can resolve this issue and get Kenya proceed to the Africa Cup of Nations, which the playoffs and also the round matches are going on, and to see if Kenya will be admitted. But it's going to be a long process. Stakeholders over the weekend sent a word to the president asking him to resolve the issue as fast as he gets into the office to ensure that Kenya can proceed. But right now, the national team, Malkia Strikers, is in Brazil. They have been there for a month now. Today, early in the morning, they launched their kitty